Right. Okay, so welcome to the last class of the Tech Club Summer Camp for C++. Today we are going to be covering how to, get started with competitive programming and a transition from learning C++ to actually applying it in competitive programming. Okay. So first off, this is the platform we're going to be using for computer programming mainly. There is also CodeChef, but that is not that necessary right now. The primary goal right now to learn like if you're planning to learn a platform or like practice from, you should start with code forces as well, because problems are much easier to get into. Okay, so this is the website link, https colon forward slash slash codeforces.com. I'll post the link in resources if you want to access it later on, or you could just type it out now if you want to. And right, that is the website. So here, what this is basically like a website which has a huge catalog of competitive programming problems set by other people, which you can use to practice. Now, these people also hold contests which you can participate in, and you can also make your own contests, which we do in on a weekly or monthly basis. Okay, I'm not sure about the frequency yet, but we do hold that in the club. So I'll be familiarizing you guys with the platform now. So see, this is the home page. You have to make an account and log in. As you can see, I'm logged in right now. So you have to make your own account and then actually log in and do all that things first. Then this will open. So here you can go to problem set. And under problems, it will show a list of problems. And in the beginning, this is all randomly arranged with the tags and all. The tags basically tell you what type of a problem they are and all. And some of these words probably look very foreign to you right now, like combinatorics, DFS, and what else? There's the data structures, constructive algorithms, greedy, all this. We will be covering this in the Tech Club competitive programming course, and that is not what we're going to be doing now. So now what I'm going to be doing is sorting this according to the problem difficulty. So this is basically the problem difficulty. Okay, this thing below the lightning sign. So as you can see, if I click this, this changes how the problems are sorted. So right now, as you can see, they're sorted from like highest difficulty to lowest difficulty. Yes, see, the top ones are 3500, these are 3400. So if I click that again, it'll sort them according to lowest to highest difficulty. Okay, so these are all 800 problems, and one of the best ways to actually get started with this is sorting them from easiest to hardest, and then starting solving them from top to bottom. Right, the green ones are the ones which I have solved personally. I have not done all of them. Right, there are way too many problems there. So the green ones are ones which I've done. Today I'll be showing you how to do this problem, watermelon. Something.
Acha,
Huh.
highest rating you have done?
Highest reading I have done, I am not sure about that. I will have to check. I will check and tell you later on. Okay. There's a website for that. I think okay, I'm not sure. I can more any hour. Fine. Acha. So this is our first problem. Okay. So the first problem, basically, what is CP, like competitive programming? I didn't introduce competitive programming properly. My bad. Competitive programming is basically problem solving. Okay, but through programming. So here, what happens is they give you a problem. So this is the problem here, and they give you some sort of input. So what you have to do is write an algorithm which processes that input and solves a problem which has been given here in the problem statement, and returns an output. And this states the format for the output, and this states the format for the input. Now you might think that this is very easy, probably, right? It is easy in the beginning, but the only thing which gets you as you start progressing further and further is the time limit. So all problems have a time limit set on them. For easier, like beginner problems, it's mainly 1 second, but some do have time such as 0.5 seconds, whereas there are also problems which have 2 seconds as a time limit. So for this problem, you see, it shows time limit per test is 1 second, and You see, these are called test cases. I will be coming to test cases later on. So what this 1 second means is that for every test case, your algorithm has to take the input and process the input and give the output within 1 second. Okay, so this means that your algorithm has to be, efficient, and it also has to comply with the memory limits. 65 MB is the memory limit for this problem, but memory limit isn't an issue for most of the time. Like, you'll probably be fine about that. You don't need to worry about space complexity in the very beginning. And as I said, space complexity and efficiency of the algorithm, that is called time complexity. All those things I will be teaching later on in comparative programming. Stella and Reaper will be teaching that. So we'll cover that in the tech lab. So for now, what our goal is to actually understand this problem. Okay. So I'll start by reading of this problem. I'll explain the problem. Then I'll ask you, what do you think the solution to this should be? And I'll code it out. Okay, as you say. Fine.
This is the easiest it can get.
Yes, it is. Right. Okay, so one hot summer day, Pete and his friend Billy decided to buy a watermelon. They chose the biggest and ripest one, in their opinion. Fine. After that, the watermelon was weighed and the scales showed W kilos. They rushed home dying of thirst and decided to divide the berry. However, they faced a hard problem. Pete and Billy are great fans of even numbers. That's why they want to divide the watermelon in such a way that each of the two parts weigh even number of kilos. At the same time, it is not obligatory that the parts are equal. The boys are extremely tired and want to start their meal as soon as possible. That's why you should help them and find out if they can divide the watermelon in the way they want. For sure, each of them should get a part of positive weight. So the input, this basically tells you about the input format. Okay, so this says the first and the only input line contains an integer number W, and this is the range for W. Okay, this tells you that W is an integer value from 1 to 100, so something in between that or those numbers. And then it says the weight of the watermelon. So W is the weight of the watermelon, which has been bought by the boys. Fine. So the output is print yes if the boys can divide the watermelon into two parts, each of them weighing even number of kilos, and no in the opposite case. So okay, right, and this is basically an example input and an example output basically. So for example, if the input is 8, then the output would be yes. And here's a note. It says that, for example, the boys can divide the watermelon into two parts of 2 and 6 kilos respectively. Another variant, two parts of 4 and 4 kilos. Right. So what this problem basically says is they went out and bought a watermelon, and now they want to divide it in such a way that each of them receive parts which have which of which the part they want to divide it in such a way such that the parts which both of them receive will have an even weight. Okay, so now I want you guys to tell me if you first of all, understood the problem, or should I, explain something again?
সোজা বুঝে গেছি।
All right, Adrika and Avadip, you can write in chat if you want to, or actually say it out loud if you have any questions regarding the problem. Right, I am assuming both of you understood. Acha, okay. So say I give a number 5. What if the weight of the watermelon is 5? How would they divide the watermelon then? Hmm? What do you think?
Repeat the question once.
Right. What if the weight of the watermelon is 5? Right. How would they divide the watermelon? What would be the parts of the watermelon? Will they be able to divide
2.5
it?
ওয়েট করে ডিভাইড করবে, কিন্তু এখানে নেহাত বলেছে ইভেন নাম্বার অফ কিলো, সো হবে
Right.
না।
How no? Okay. Okay, that is what Anjishnu says. What about the others? Can they divide it into two even parts? Mhm. Anyone else? Audrika, Avadip?
Actually, I did not understand. What do you try to ask?
Right.
Like,
Right, right. Okay, okay, okay. So basically, there are these two boys, okay, Pete and Billy. I'll be replacing these names, okay. Imagine Anshuman and Stella, okay. They went out to buy a watermelon. And now both of them like even numbers. They don't like odd numbers. Okay, they feel odd numbers are very odd. Right. Uh, so they like even numbers. And imagine the weight of the watermelon they bought is 8. Okay. And now they
Okay.
want to divide the watermelon in such a way into like two parts so that both of their parts have an even weight. Okay, so the weight should be 2, 4, 6, 8, something like that, even number basically. So what would be
Okay.
the parts if it were say 8?
Of five.
First 8. First consider 8 then.
Yeah. Eight. It can be any, like, for example, 2, 6, then 4,
Right.
4.
Yes. Yes. Fine. That those are correct answers. Yes, both of those are valid, combinations. Fine. Acha, now consider the weight is say 10. What about 10?
Then it will be 2, 8, then 4, 6.
Right, right. Yes. Ha ha ha. Fine. Acha, now what about um 5? What about 5? Is it
There will
possible?
be no,
Right, right.
impossible.
Right. So now, what we have to do here is come up with a way to identify numbers for which we can't divide them into two parts, two even parts. Okay. So, the question basically says
Yeah.
if we can divide them into two parts, so for 8, 10, as we did, 9 even, right? So, if we can divide them into equal parts, what will be the answer? Like, if we can divide them out into equal parts, then we want to print yes, and if we cannot, then we want to print no. So,
Okay.
আমি কি বলে দেবো?
no, 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 understood. Janvi, Borisna. Right, I want Adrika or Avadik to think about this. Acha, bolo. How would you identify numbers which you cannot divide into two like that?
First, we have to check out that the input, which is the number, it is divisible by 2 or not. If it is not
Right.
divisible by 2, then it is not. It cannot be divided into 2 even number kilos.
Right, right. And if it is even, then we can divide that into two even parts.
শুধু একটাই ঘাপলা আছে যখন 2 হয় নাম্বারটা।
Right. Yes, that is an exception, if you will, an edge case. Right. Because if you divide two into two equal parts, then it will become like 1 and 1. Fine. Acha, acha. Okay. Okay. Okay, wait. Two is 130%. No, Anshuman. This has to be, integer parts, not decimal parts. Anshuman is saying you can divide 2 as 1.8 and 0.2. That is not a valid solution. Yes. Okay, okay. Right. What are
এবার
the
তো
questions?
ফোর্থ পার্টটা তো ইজি।
Wait, wait, wait. I'm coming to that. Right. Okay. Right. The question says, boys explain I want to start the nearest one. No, wait, no. Where was the line? Huh. For sure, each of them should get part of a positive. Wait, right. So it must be positive. So it can't be zero as well. So two, there will be no valid solutions for two. Fine. Acha. So now we had the like logic down. Okay, this is the first part of solving any comparative programming problem. And to think like how would you actually come to the proper solution. So that is the planning part, if you will. So think about it and come to it. Someone send me something. Anjishn. Acha, okay, good. Anjishn, good, good. Right. So you plan out the logic in your head, and then what you want to do is actually implement it. Right. So can you guys see Sublime Code? Can you see my code editor? Everyone.
হ্যাঁ।
Uh,
Yes.
good. Good. That's right. There are a lot of things here which you will probably not understand the meaning of, so I will have to remove those. These are weird. Uh, are these necessary?
আচ্ছা, একটা রিকোয়েস্ট, সেন্ড মি দিস টেমপ্লেট ওয়ান্স মানে যেটা।
Fine, so I'll send you the template of plus. Right. So these are not necessary for you right now. I will be deleting those. So this is, the C++ you all know and love, I hope. Right. Okay. Acha. So, right. So I'll be copying this input which they have given here, 8, for example. Copy that. Paste that here. Fine. Acha. Now you tell me, what will I write? Not Anjishnu. Anjishnu already knows what to write. I want to see others. What do they think? What do I start with? Bolo? What do I have to do first? Afrodit and Adita. What is the first step? Input is 8. What do I do first? Do I print output? Do I process things or do I take input? What do I do?
First, I think the input should come.
Right. How do I take input? Tell me. I don't know programming. You guys know programming. Bolo bolo. How to take input? Like, tell me what to write. I'll just write. I'll tell. Don't know. No one. Acha. Like someone's writing something in chat. Okay. Let's see. What can I write? Int W. Okay. W. What does sin do again? I forgot. Does anyone know what sin does? No? What does sin do? Okay, nobody knows what sin does. What, Adita? Repeat that.
Entering the loop.
No, sin is for taking input.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Right. Okay. So I take input, sin W. Right. Oh, wait. Right, yes, I'm back. Right, I'm very sorry for that. Okay. So I'll be showing you this one program. No, next one you guys have to tell me. Okay. Just giving you a brief recap of what we've done in the beginning. Chalo. Sin W. Okay, we take the input, right, which is 8. And then it's always a good idea to keep testing your code as you're writing it. So I'll just test if this actually works, if this takes input properly or not. Okay. So what I did is I declared an integer W, took the input W from here, and then I'm checking if it actually takes input properly. So I'm printing it to check. Okay. Let's see what it does. Let's see. Is it running? No. I think it's running. There. See, it printed 8. So took input properly, which is good. Fine. So now we have input. So now we want to check if it is an even number or an odd number, right? So how do I check if something is even or odd? How? How do I check? Huh? What does transition?
Mod
Right. Mod what?
2.
Then? बोलते रहो. I don't know programming.
mod 2 equal to 0. mod 2 0 হলে even নালে odd.
Right. What do I print here? Do you?
আমি বলে দেবো see out yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. And then?
else if they
No.
আচ্ছা তো
Yeah.
yeah but
Yes. Exactly. Good. Remembering stuff. Acha. So this will work for all cases.
no 2 বেরোবে না
Wait, na. Acha, কি করতে হবে? What do I need to
2
change here?
if I think sorry if block type তুই w equal to 2 দে
And W equal to 2.
আরে
And
না
no.
না and না মানে আলাদা কেস
Other case.
yes
Other case নিতে হবে?
ওটা পাঠিয়েছিলাম তো wait
Ball na ki likhbo. Is this correct? Will this work? I'm asking.
No, it shouldn't work.
It shouldn't work. দেখি।
No, 1 second. একটা কেস হবে হলো w equal to 2, আর
Right,
একটা কেস হবে হলো w mod 2 equal to 0,
right,
আর একটা কেস else হবে।
right.
তো
আচ্ছা।
আমি তাই বোল্ড ডিক্টেট করতে পারছি না।
Right, right, right. বুঝেছি, I understand what you're trying to say. Okay. So let's see if this works or not, right? So let's see if it works for 8 or not. See, it prints yes, right? Which means it's correct. That's what it should print. What if I take
এটা কি
some,
আছে not equal to 2? আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ, এটাও কাজ করে যাবে।
right? If I take, no, stop sublime text, right? Let's see 7. What should it print for 7? Right, right. Right, for 7 it printed no. Takes a little time to update. Right, for 7 it printed no. How it should, right? So that means it works for 7. And we identified an edge case, right? Which was, as Anjishnu pointed out, 2. Let's see what it prints for 2. See, it's no. Still no. Right? Which means that it works. Now let's submit it and check if it works or not. So to submit, basically what to do is open up the website again. Then click on this button, so submit here. Here, you have to pick the language first. For our purposes, what we taught you was C++14. So what you have to pick here is GNU G++14. If you forget this or can't have problem like deciding what to pick, just ask us about it. We'll tell you again. Right, and then what you have to do is copy your code. So just Control A, Control C to copy your code, and then paste it here in this box. Right, then you just click submit. Let's see if it works or not. Hello.
supply में competitive companion কাজ করে না?
I don't know. I haven't tested there. See, this was the submission I just made, and here this basically tells you verdict. Okay, verdict means there is an online judge which will check your code if it works or not. So if it says accepted, it means your code worked for all test cases, and then it will tell you the time it took for every test case and the memory it consumed. So memory didn't actually take 0 KB, of course. It did take some memory, but since it's very less, code forces rounds it off to 0 or something. Weird behavior on part of code forces. So as you can see, these were like my past submissions. Okay, and as you can see, there are a lot of wrong answers and a lot of time limit exceeded. You will encounter that as well. What this means is, remember I told you about the time limit. Every problem has a 1 second or 2 second time limit. So on this problem, I basically exceeded the time limit. My algorithm was like very slow. So that's why this says time limit exceeded. Fine. All the TLEs mean that time limit exceeded is in short called TLE, because time limit exceeded. You take the first letters TLE, right? And this is the wrong answer on test 2. This means the algorithm did not work as it was supposed to. It gave a wrong answer for an input. That's why this is the wrong answer. Or in short, WA. Fine. And then this is called runtime error on test 4. What this means is that the code didn't compile properly, so I had some syntax errors or like other mistakes in there, which is why that happened. I'm not sure why this happened in this specific case. I don't remember. This is very old. All right. And what this is called in short, and like a runtime error, to take the first letters again, RTE. Basically, you don't need to remember all this. This is ease of addressing things like this. Fine. So do you have any questions regarding code forces? Adhikar, Avadip. Avadip has been very silent for this class. Right. Okay. Okay, so you'll understood what I did, right? If you have any questions, you can ask. Fine. Okay. Hey, that was like me solving one problem. Let's move on to second problem, right? We did one problem. I think I will not be
way
doing.
too long words টা একটু কঠিন হবে I think.
Right, it involves strings. I will not be doing that. Right, I see the problem.
टीमটা করিনি আমি।
Because that either. Let me see what's a good easy problem for now. Wait a second, wait a second. I will think about this. This looks simple. Solve the frequency of another frequency. Take the time. Move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that's not now. This later. Wait a second. Let me just look for a problem. Where's all? What is this? Oh, what is this? Not this either. Where are easy problems? What is this? Wait. Wait. Right, no, not that either. Where are problems? What is this? In search of an easy problem. That is a problem. Okay, let's check it out. Altering contest purpose corners are the best way to first problem as easy as possible. This time the corner right, right, okay, this is a good problem. I think I included this in some contest as well, if I remember correctly. Not sure. Okay, this is a good problem. Yes, in search of an easy problem. This is us right now. Fine. Okay. So let's read this. In search of an easy problem is the name of the problem, and the time limit for this problem is 1 second. Okay. So, when preparing a tournament, Code Force's coordinators try their best to make the first problem as easy as possible. This time, the coordinator had chosen some problem and asked n people about their opinions. Each person answered whether this problem is easy or hard. If at least one of these n people has answered that the problem is hard, the coordinator decides to change the problem. So the given responses check if the problem is easy enough. Fine. So what the problem says is that, you are given like n numbers. The first line says one number n is written here. Actually, I'll read this. The first line contains a single integer n, 1 to 100, right? So this is the integer n, and the number of people who are asked to give their opinions. Okay, and then the second line contains n integers. Each integer is either 0 or 1. If the ith integer is 0, then the ith person thinks that the problem is easy, and if it is 1, then the ith person thinks that the problem is hard. So what you have to do is print one word, easy, if the problem is easy according to everyone, or hard if there is at least one person who thinks the problem is hard. Okay, so did you understand the statement first? Telling that, everyone. Sure. What about the others? If you want, I can, re-explain measures. Any part you didn't understand? Huh? Okay. So what this basically says is that you're given a number n, and then the next line has n numbers, okay, in it. So you see there's 3, so it has 3 numbers here, and there's 1, so it has 1 number here. Okay, and if the number is 0, that means that specific person found the problem easy, and if the number is 0, if the number is 1, then that specific person found the problem hard. So these are like people, and 0, 0, 1, these are like their opinions. So if the number is 0, then they think the problem is easy, and if the number is 1, they think the problem is hard. Okay, so how do you think you'll solve this one? What is a good way to solve this? I want someone apart from Anishna to actually listen.
আমি এখনই বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম, but ঠিক আছে।
You will know these, of course. Okay, what about the others? What is a good way to solve this? How do you know? Like, what to do? Follow? Anyone? Any ideas? You might be wrong, it's fine. Great.
I think so.
Adhika, your voice broke. Right.
0
It,
0 0 equals to 0
no, wait,
equals to 0,
Adhika,
then it,
can you repeat
yeah,
what you said? Your voice was breaking in the beginning.
yeah, you're asking about the coding, no, how it should be done.
The logic. I'll come to the code, but what is the logic behind the answer? Like, what will the code do? That basically, yes.
Yeah, so the logic right behind it is,
Huh.
if there are 3 number of people or n number of people, the inputs that will be there, it should be
Okay.
n number of zeros. Then it will be
Right.
printing easy. And
Easy.
if the number of people and n number of zeros are not there,
Right.
maybe even if other intruder letter or one is, then it
Right.
become hard.
Right. Yes, exactly. That's correct. Good. Acha, okay. That works for this problem. Here. Okay. Now, how do you code it? That is the real question. Fine, I'll copy
Volvo.
this. Wait. Let others try and just know. I know you know the answer very well. Right. Acha. So what do I write first? Okay, Anjishnu, you can participate. Go on. What do I write first?
প্রথমে তো এন্টারতে নেব CNN মানে ইন্টেন্ট করে CNN
Right. I declare a variable n to store the number n given. So int n and then
তারপর একটা অ্যারে বানাবো যেটা অফ সাইজ n
right array. Okay. Vector any. Okay.
অন্য
Wait.
কিছু ছিল মাথায়
How do you do this
আমি
without an
ভেক্টরস
array?
করি
No, without arrays.
without arrays so difficult for me I didn't do vectors
No, vectors and arrays, I'm referring to them as the same. Right. How do I do it without those? Adrika's solution was, we check if there are any number which are not zero, and if it is not zero, then we print hard. And if all of them are zero, then we print easy.
array
Okay.
ছাড়া how do you take the input
Huh?
how do you take the input second line
Wait. I'll come to that. Does anybody else know how could I take the input? Please, Soham is here. Soham, could you try? Soham, Avrudeep? Avrudeep should know this, I guess, because Java, I don't know. Anyone?
for a moment I thought Nandi joined and Nandi বলতে পারছে না
No, not done. So not. Wait, okay. Fine. I'll say I declare a int in like in. Okay. This is where I'll be storing the inputs, as Adrika said, the numbers 0 or 1. Fine. Then what I can do is use a while loop. And then one thing you can do is n minus minus. How many of you are aware of this, like how this works, while n minus minus loop? How does this work, Anjishnu? Bolo.
আরে তো int এর ভ্যালু int n এর ভ্যালু যত হবে ততবার কন্টিনিউ হবে তো
But why?
কারণ ইন্টারনেট ভ্যালু যত হচ্ছে রিডিউস হচ্ছে
But why? Right. Okay, but why does it stop in the end?
this so I don't know I just need the fundamental
Acha. Okay. So imagine our n is 3, okay? So in the first iteration, it checks n.
আচ্ছা wait I think I have an answer কারণ n minus minus 0 হয়ে গেল তো সেটা false হয়ে যাচ্ছে না
Exactly. Remember, I guess I told you guys about falsy and truthy values. So basically, in the beginning, it's 3. Checks 3. 3 is a truthy value, so it runs, and it it's post decrement. So after checking, it reduces it to 2. Stella told you about post and pre increment, decrement, and all that. Right. So it makes it 2 runs once. Acha, now it's 2. Checks 2. 2 is again true value. So again runs and reduces 2 to 1. The loop has ran twice. And then now that's
Just
1.
yeah. One more, they can do one more suggestion. No, if okay, no, it is not divisible by 2. 0 is not divisible by 2. I thought that we can even give it like other variable which will be divisible by 2.
আচ্ছা wait I think I have an idea how
Right.
to do it
Huh.
to every time I take the input, I check if it is 1 or 0, right?
Exactly. Right. Acha, Adhika, what you're saying is, check if 0 is like odd or even, and then with the 1 as well, right? Or 1 will be odd and 0 might be even, but 0 is not even, right? You got that, which is cool. What you can do directly though, since like, these numbers are just 0 and 1, right? You know what they might be. They will either be 0 or they will be 1. Okay. So what you can do is, you take the input every time you run the loop. So what this does is, it takes the n numbers as input and say, just for testing purposes, I'm printing them out just to check if it works or not. As I said, it's always a good idea to check your code as you write it, so you don't run into bigger problems later on. Right. This took a little time to update, but yes, this is 001 and printed 001, so it takes the input properly. Okay. Now what I have to check is if in is equal to 1. Fine.
Or 0.
Huh?
If n is equal to 0,
That also I can do. Right. So what I can do is check if it in is equal to 1. Right. And we know if there is at least even 1, then we have to print hard and stop there. Fine. So what we can do here is cout hard and right. So now say I move. So now say I run this code. Okay, I'll just run that. I'll remove this statement and right. If I run this now, see it is printing hard, right? Which is good. But if I say put this one here, let's test this. See, this still works. It still prints hard, which is good. But now if I remove this one, if it's only zeros, then it should print easy, but it prints nothing, right? Which is not something we want. Okay. So what we can do here is, wait, before that, what if there are 2 ones? What would happen? What should happen? First, tell me that. What should be
It
the
will be
output for
showing
this?
hard. It will be
Hard.
showing hard.
Right. But what will happen if I run this code with this input?
কাজ করবে না হার্ড ইজি ইয়ে দেখাবে ওটা কি বলে এলস ব্লকই তো নেই
You don't need an else block. No, if the condition is not
আচ্ছা
satisfied,
ওয়েট
it will do nothing.
যাওয়া
Run this.
এটা তো নাথিং হার্ড দেখাবে
It will print 1 hard for everyone, which we don't want, right? We want it to stop when it sees 101. Okay, then like we don't care what is after this, right? If there were like hundreds of zeros after this, we don't have to check those now because we have found at least 1 1. And if there is at least 1 1, then the answer will always be hard. Fine. So you don't have to check after that anymore. So what we can do here is, after it finds a 1, it prints hard, and then it breaks the loop. Okay, it'll break the loop. So now if I run this, you see, printing hard only once. Fine. So that works. So now that is our hard part covered. Well, literally, what we have to do now is actually print easy. So if there are no ones like that, and if I run that, see, our problem now is it prints nothing, which is not something we want, right? That is not ideal at all. So what we can do here is, in this loop, okay, what we can do is, what did it tell you? What was the last value with which this loop would run? Like n minus minus will go on till when? Till what value of n?
like zero.
Till 0, right? So in the loop, say for example, I print the value of n. So just test if our theory is correct about the value of n. Right. See, as you said, it went till 0, right? After it printed 0, it didn't loop anymore. The loop stopped.
তো n equal to 0 হয়ে গেলে like easy print করবে
Right. To check if,
Actually, will it not be printing easy also? If what if all are 000?
it won't, no. See, it should print easy, right? According to the question. But our
Yeah.
code, we have not implemented that here. That is what we're implementing now. The easy printing part. Okay. So
Okay. So we cannot give else.
else, right? Okay, let's see what happens if we give else. Else, see out. Easy. Right. And see what will happen is this. So there are multiple PCs getting printed, right? Which you don't want.
Okay.
Yeah, we want only one. Okay. So what
Yeah.
we did here is after it found one break, one hard, right? One. It printed hard and then broke the loop. So we can't break the loop here because if I say there's a one at the very end, and if I break the loop here, so I put a break there, right? Run that. See, it's printing easy, but it should not be easy, right? It should be hard. You know that.
Is it hard?
Exactly. So you can't put an else.
Okay.
Okay.
And continue will also not be implementing right here.
No, we can't put continue like that because it will check till the end of the loop to actually print easy. Okay.
Okay. So main motive of this like coding is to print the hard one.
Print hard, yes. Now, for now, we are still going about to get to the easy part, right? You've not implemented that
Okay.
in this.
Okay.
So what we're doing now is, how do we know it is the end of the loop? We have taken the last numbers input and there are no more numbers.
0, 0.
Yes.
N
So
equal to
check. If n is equal to 0, right? We check that. This means it is on the last year, right? And then we print easy. Now, one thing you might be thinking is, why didn't I check if in was like 1 or 0 here? Now, what I could have done is, if and in is equal to 0, not triple equal to this, not JavaScript, double equal to 0, right? I could have done this. I should have done this actually, because I have to make sure that it is the, what?
Yeah, but there was a break in like last line. It was a break, so
Exactly.
showing hard also.
Yes. So if it were 1, then it would print this and break. It will never reach this if the number is 1. So this, if I now run this, as it should run print hard, right? But now if I say put all zeros there, it actually prints easy now, right? So
Yeah.
right, that works now. Let's try with some bigger numbers. Say what's 6, no 10. Let's try with 10 numbers. You put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. How many zeros is that? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One at the end. Let's see what that prints. Hard as it should. Right. If I put all zeros, it will print easy. If I put one, what will the answer be to this? What should it be?
Hard.
Right. And it prints hard. Right, as it should. Fine. Acha, so our code seems to be working now. Let's try and submit it. Hello. What do I do? How do I submit? Tell me. I forgot. Remind me someone.
আমি just একটা বাটন প্রেস করে দিই।
Where is the button? I can't find it.
No, আমি তো VSC member.
Acha. Okay, how do I submit? What do I click on?
Submit.
Right. Okay, submit. Acha. Language is selected. What do I put here in this box?
Now GNU G++14 is already given. Copy and paste there, and then submit.
Right. Yes. I already copied the code. Put that in and then submit. Chalo. Let's see if the judges accept our solution. Running on test 1, it's checking our solution. sometimes this actually gets stuck here. So what you can do is actually reload the page to update it. Acha, it is not stuck. See it updated real time. You don't have to reload the page, and it's accepted. So our solution actually works. It's nice. Let's go. Oh, right. Right. Okay, so that was nice. Then you solved your first C++ CP problem real time, which was nice. Okay, so now do any of you have any questions regarding what I did here with this code or like previous codes or anything with that regard? Anyone? Because this is
Could
the
you,
huh? What?
could you repeat once again?
Do you have any questions regarding what we did till now, like past sessions, this session, anything?
No doubts.
Nice. That's this would be the last session. So if you have anything to ask now, because after this
আচ্ছা
it's
কুইক কোয়েশ্চেন আমি আবার ভিডিও রিওয়াচ করতে চাই না তো সিএল
right.
ডট ইগনোর কি করে
Sin.ignore ignores the character from the input. একটা
মানে
skip হয়ে যায়।
আচ্ছা জাস্ট যে ক্যারেক্টারটা মেনশন করব
না, next এটা আছে I think it is Stella, I think জানে, I'm not sure.
নেক্সট
স্টেলা করিয়েছিল বাট আমি শুনিনি বেসিক্যালি
ফার্স্টে ধর তুই একটা ক্যারেক্টার ইনপুট নিচ্ছিস, ঠিক আছে, লাইক ইউ টু মানে ইন্ট 10 ইনপুট নিলে তো তারপরে যদি ও সেন্ড ডট ইগনোর করে তাহলে 10 এর পরে নেক্সট ক্যারেক্টার কি আছে 0 না, সো ওই 0টা ইগনোর করবে, ওইটা ইনপুট নেবে না।
আচ্ছা আই সি ওকে থ্যাঙ্কস
Okay, good. Acha, anyone else, any more doubts regarding C++ what we covered and all? No one. Acha, how many of you have actually submitted assignments for C++? Adrika ke to bolle পাঠিয়ে দেবে।
করেছি
আচ্ছা, additional did nice. Already করেছে I think. Good. Right. So I'm going to show you guys this if you forgot. Acha, okay. Now there is another thing which Anjishnu was trying to tell me. Same problem. I won't be starting a new problem now because it has already been an hour. Class will end very soon. Right. Let's try what Anjishnu was saying. Okay. What Anjishnu was saying is we store all the numbers in a vector and then we iterate
Check.
over that and check. Right. Yes, that also works fine. So what we do here is declare.
আমি জাস্ট জানা দরকার কোনটা লঙ্গার হবে মানে টাইম বেশি নেবে সেটা করব না
Time I think এটা বেশি নেবে because এখানে সে one
আমার 15 ms লাগছে মানে ফর দিস ওয়ান
না ওখানে তো ওটা that is time that will depend on time complexity না but if you're like দুটোরই সলিউশনের টাইম মোটামুটি সেমই লাগবে ঠিক আছে তো এবার ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে যে এখানে কি হবে সে ওয়ানটা একদম প্রথমে আছে না তো তুই যদি if দিয়ে করিস
আচ্ছা
হ্যাঁ it won't have to check all the numbers whereas এটা vector দিয়ে it will have to check all numbers okay fine chalo say acha coming back to what I was saying the solution with the vectors so say I call this vector int and name it numbers because why not right vector numbers and what Stella was asking me to show you guys is how to take input into vectors so now I have these 10 numbers right and like I have n and then n numbers after so what I can do is like the previous one I do while n minus minus. This is like the most basic way I would guess to actually take input into vectors. For that, I declare a variable here outside, or I could even do it inside, int input. I do sin input. So basically, I'm taking the input from here and storing it into a variable called input. Okay. And then what I'm doing is numbers dot push underscore back and then input. That. And if we check the numbers after it, I don't think you know this. I'm just writing this. I'll explain this afterwards. But yeah, wait, see how this technique works or not. Wait a second. Right, yes, that works fine. So ignore this for now. What this does is basically, as I said, how I told you guys, right, how n minus minus while loop works. Okay. So it declares a variable called input, and then takes input into that variable, and then stores that variable into our vector called numbers, right? So that is how you take numbers in a line as input in a vector, okay, separately. Another thing you can do is, if you know the number of values, is you can, this is one way. I'll be keeping this to comment it out and name it method 1. Then we come to our second method. Okay. Method 2. Achha, method 2 is why what are we saying in that? That's a convolution. Okay. Okay, Sada, okay. Swapnil is avid enjoyer of convolution, I believe. Right. So as I was saying, going back. What we have here is, what we can do is, we thing about vectors is, what you can do is, after the name declaration, you can put a bracket. Wait, is this the correct syntax? I don't think it is. This is the correct syntax, I think.
কোনো idea নেই।
See if it runs or not. No, that is not the correct syntax. Wait, numbers size n, that works. Ruby. Okay, there are extra brackets there. What am I doing? What did I do? Hey, why are there two cursors? Oh god. Numbers n, right. Let's see if that works or not. Not sure. Please, yes, that is the correct syntax. Sorry, I forgot. This is another syntax for declaring vectors, and what it is, vector int. So you mention the type of the vector, and then you put the name of the vector, and then inside round brackets, you put the size of the vector. Okay, the number of spaces in it. So it's like, you are allocating shelves for numbers basically. Imagine it does that. In a library, they have shelves for different books and stuff. So you are reserving a shelf of size n for your numbers. Fine. So you do that using the syntax, right? And then what you do here is, you do for int ampersand x colon numbers, and then you do sin x. Let me just test if this works or not. Wait a second. Right, that again makes sense. Okay, this is method 2 is like a bit more advanced. Okay, and what this uses is basically shorthand for loop. So what shorthand for loop is basically like, this thing basically. Imagine, okay, now I'll explain this first, and it'll be easier to understand the other one. Fine. So what this means is, it takes all the elements in numbers, and then one by one it assigns it into x. So this is the same as saying, for int I is equals to 0, I less than numbers dot size. That is function I plus 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 plus, and then x is equals to numbers I. Okay, so as you can see, this is like very lengthy, right? So just to show you guys, this is the same thing. I'll do that, and I will remove that. So if I run that, see, it still prints all the numbers in the input here. Okay, so you see, this is very lengthy, right? You take I as 1, you make sure it's less than numbers of size, and then I plus plus. It basically goes over all the indices of the vector, and then assigns each of the values to x, and then you're printing x. Okay, this is fine. This works, you can do, but it's very lengthy, right? Clearly. So instead of writing all,
Actually, I didn't understand what is the use of this program. Like,
So this program. Acha, no,
what did we?
Acha.
Yeah.
I'm just showing you how to take all these numbers as input and store them into a vector. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay.
not really useful as a standalone program, but this is used for taking input in other problems. Okay. So
Okay.
so this is like very long, right? So we don't write that. What we write is the shorthand for it, which basically is this. So the format for this is for, and then you mention the data type of the thing you want to store it in, and then put a colon, and then write the name of the container. The container in this case is this vector called numbers. So write int x colon numbers. So I take the elements of numbers and assign them to an integer x, and then it iterates over all the values of x, and then it prints all these values of x in this loop. Okay, and now coming back to this. Okay, our input loop. So what it's doing here is for int x, int and x, right? You see this ampersand here. By default, the thing is that say I were to in this loop, okay. Say my numbers were something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I took 8 numbers, I declared that on top. Fine. Wait, if I print that, run that actually, not print. See that prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as it should. Fine. But now if I were to do something like let's say in this loop, I do x equals to 100. Okay, I assign all the x's to 100 as they're coming. So this should make all the values 100, right? Will it make all the values 100? Yes or no? Yes, just take a while, yes. It's okay if you're like wrong. I think you don't know what this is. It's perfectly okay to be wrong about it. Anyone? Take a guess. No one. Acha. Let's see what happens. So it did not change, right? Because what it is doing is it is taking the value from numbers, storing it in a value x. Now this x is not a reference to that shelf. I told you that you're reserving a shelf here of size n. So what this is doing is you are taking the book out from the library and making a copy of it, like you're duplicating the book basically. Okay, you go to library, you take a book, you duplicate the book and take the book home, the duplicated book, and you put back the original book back in the shelves. Okay, so now this x is the duplicate book, and now in this duplicate book you're adding 100, you're making the duplicate book 100. So say you're changing the cover of the book. Fine. So now that won't affect the original library book, right? Because what you have is a duplicate, you don't have the original book. Am I correct? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah. I had doubt if in the place of 8, we could have put 10, and then down we have just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8.
Right.
So what will happen that time?
Acha. It'll put in garbage values, I think. Wait, let me see. Let's see. See, it puts in zeros. There is nothing here, so just take
0,
these.
0 it will show. It
Uh,
has the cells for it.
uh,
Okay.
what? No,
No,
what?
because it will show 0, 0 because it has reserved the shells for it.
Right.
That's what I
Right.
wanted to say.
Right. Yes. Let's try it. Let's see. If we don't take input at all, what happens? Chalo, dekhte hain. Programming is like all about experimenting most of the time. See what you said. Right. It reserves the shells, and then since they're empty, it's 0, 0. Fine. Say another interesting thing is you can put a comma and then say put in 69 or no 100. Right. I can mention what do you want to reserve the shells and put inside them. So what this will do is it will reserve the shells and put 100 in them. So wait, this is changing those numbers because I'm taking input. So I'll just move that. There. See, all of them are 100 because it reserved the shelves and made all of them 100. Okay, that's just another
Okay.
thing you can do. Right. Okay, right. That fine. So you understand the duplicate book thingy. Fine. So that's why it won't affect it here. But if I were to print this here, right, go up, Control Shift up, right, Control Shift up. Look at that. Right now. So if I were to run this now, all of these would be 100 because here X is referring to the duplicate book. It is not getting it from the bookshelf directly, right? Because see, X is the duplicate we made. We changed the cover and then printed the new cover. So these are like the new covers, the hundreds. Fine. So, okay, you got that, right? How this prints 100, but the other one did not print 100. It makes sense, right? Does it or does it not? I'll explain again if it doesn't. Assume it does. Right.
Why did it print on 100?
Right, because you see, as I said, it takes the book from the shelf, the book being X,
Yeah.
and then makes X 100. Okay.
Oh, okay. So X equals to 100. That is the reason why they're printed
Right.
100, 100.
Right. Yes. Okay. But if I were to
Duplicating.
So here X is referring to that duplicate book now, because it is inside the same loop now. So when I exit this loop, it will again refer to the, because if I run another loop here, say for int X in numbers, cout X, right? Here this X it is getting from the shelf again. Okay, and here though I did not change the shelf, it just changed the duplicate book. So here it is again duplicate the book and print that. So if I were to run this, it will print 100.
So during this time, this 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the input in, that will not work.
This will work. Input is being taken here.
Oh, okay. So it is coming down.
Because I'm printing this first and I'm printing this. But as you see, the original is not modified. The original is still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, original is present, that I saw.
That is the thing. Okay, now I'll explain how the input works. Okay, so you understood how this shorthand loop and all that works. Now what this thing is doing, this ampersand before the variable name, this basically tells it that do not duplicate the book. Take the book from the shelf and do what you will on that. Okay. So now if I were to put an ampersand here before this one as well, what it would do is, if I run this, all of them would be 100. Because what it is doing here, it is not duplicating the book anymore. It is taking the original book from the shelf, making that 100, printing it, and then putting it back in. Okay, so it is modifying the original shelf. Got it?
Okay.
So the next time when I refer to it again, it is still the modified book because I did not duplicate it. I changed the original. Okay, so what it did here as well is so int ampersand X. So all of these were 0. Okay, before I did any of this. Before I took this, all of them were 0 because I showed right. It just reserved the shelves and the shelves are always empty. So what this is doing is it is looking at the shelf and then inserting whatever it is getting from here. So say you got 1 from here, put that into X. So put it into that shelf. And since I put an ampersand there, it changed the original shelf. So that is why if I run this now, it will print the numbers from 1 to 8 and then 0, 0 because I put an extra spaces. If I were to change this to 8, it will just print 1 to 8. Got that, everyone?
Yeah, got it.
So now if I were to go back to my original code, the other problem which you're doing, this. Right. So what I can do now is I can run this print all numbers as I did, right? And here, now that I have taken all these numbers into this vector as input, what I can do is I'm iterating over this numbers vector again here, and then I can check over here. If X is equal to 1, then cout hard and then break, right? And what we can't do here though is check which iteration it is on. So, what this will just print the hard because there is a one here, right? Hard there. Okay. One thing we can do here to avoid this is like remember the last time what we did is if n is equal to 0 and then it'll print the out easy and all, right? There is no n here anymore. That is the downside of this method. Okay. So what you can do here apart like instead of that is just return 0 and then put cout easy and then here. So what this does is if it sees a 1, it will print hard, and then what return 0 will do is it will return the main function. So it is doing the same thing we are doing here. So it is stopping the execution of the function because the function is exiting. Now, if I return something, the function stops. Right though. You're not this, I think. You did functions, right? Stella?
Huh?
You did functions, right?
Yes,
Return.
yes, yes.
See, so the returning 0, so it'll like stop execution. If we run this, as usual, it went hard and stop. But if I remove this thing, then it doesn't return here for any of the values because none of them are 1, right? So this never runs. Count hard and return 0. This will never run, and so it'll just print easy at the end, and that is our output as we want it. So did all of you understand that? It's fine if you didn't understand this, the shortcut method, because this is a bit more advanced than the other one. But you can use either one of them. They're pretty much the same. Okay. So did you understand this? Like something? Did you understand something?
Yeah, I understood.
Right. Good. Good. Acha. Oh. Okay then. So I guess you're done here. Do you guys have any more questions? If you want to answer for the last time, the last summer camp class before we finally part. Questions? Any suggestions, if you will? Anything to say? No. Okay. Okay. So, right, as I said, this was the last summer camp class, and that was it all we had to teach you. So, I hope you actually learned something here. And I want to thank you for actually being here till the end. As you can see, there are 2 people here. Yep. So, yes, thank you for that. No, so with the assignments and all, and we'll be giving you certificates based on your participation and all. So yes, Stella, if you have anything to say,
No, thank you everyone.
right?
I enjoyed a lot teaching y'all.
I enjoyed it too. Right. Fine then. That is it for today. Thank you guys for being a part of the Tech Lab Summer Camp.
Thank you. Even I
Yeah.
also enjoyed learning from you all.
Thanks a lot.